see me? Check.
That'll do.
There we go. Hello and welcome to this beautiful Monday's episode of the Truka Daily Live Show and the Truka Podcast. We have a lot of great things to cover today, some exciting things for you, and I'm looking forward to diving in. We're going to talk about 10 things that separate the great from the average. So how are you feeling, Leo?
I'm feeling very good. It has been a calm morning, a lot of vision work.
Yeah.
I know you're doing a whole one day right now with one of our students, and I've been having a very grateful morning.
Yeah, me too. We've been having a lot of fun downstairs here at the studio, and we've been deep diving into, as you said, one of our students' businesses, and it was incredible this morning watching a couple of the breakthroughs happen, and we're just barely getting started, but it's been a high impact last 3 hours or so. But I'm excited to be here with you guys diving into the difference, because these are things by the end of today that you'll know that I certainly would have loved to know in the early stages of my entrepreneurial journey, things that would have saved me years of headache and heartache. So grab your note pen if you're in a place to do so, your notebook and your pen, and let's dive in.
So we're going over the 10 habits that separate the great from the average. Have your notepads and pens out, and get ready to take notes on all 10. Of course, we don't expect all of you to, after today, take all 10 and start implementing right away, but look for the top 1 to 2 that make you go, hey, that I can do. And if I do that one habit, it's probably going to make the other 8, the other 9 a whole lot easier for me. This is a very interactive one. We're going to give examples. These are 10 things, after looking at the list, that we do consistently and have given us the upper advantage of being able to have a strong mindset, the upper advantage of being able to execute at a high level almost every day.
Yeah.
We take Sundays off for the most part, and to be able to communicate at a very high level as leaders. So these 10 are going to give you the upper advantage. These 10 are going to give you some insights that other people don't have. And you're also going to see some of it's very simple. Some of it's very, very simple. It's things that you probably already know. We're just going to give a deep reminder and a golden nugget in each one that make you go, hey, this makes a lot of sense as to why I need to work on these. So everybody, let's dive in. Get ready to roll. Starting with number 1, type it in the chat, write it down. Own your mornings.
Own your mornings. By the way, can you guys hear me okay? Somebody just texted me and said that my mic is having a challenge, so comment. If you guys can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up. Check 1, 2.
Here, we'll fix it.
All right. While we're fixing that, own your mornings. I'll yell so you guys can hear me over from Leo's mic. But it's been very important. And this is something I did not do for so long. Check. Oh, I see myself on the screen up there. So my check. You talk. See if
Testing.
Oh no, yours is way louder. I have to yell for them to hear me.
All right.
Interesting.
We're gonna fix it.
Check.
While I'm fixing this and
Check.
teaching at the same time, since my mic only works.
Yeah.
Number 1 is owning your mornings. Actually, you know what? You got it.
All right.
You'll figure it out. Owning your mornings has been the greatest, single most important thing that both Andrew and I have ever done for ourselves, because on any given day, you will have a moment where you'll wake up, you had a dream the night before, and you forget all of your goals, you forget all of your visions, and you kind of just let the day take you by how it wants to take you.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, you're too quiet.
Interesting.
However, when you prime yourself every single morning by owning it, you get up, you make your bed, you jump out of bed, you say, hey, it's going to be my day, and you own your conversation. You say, you know what? Today's going to be a great day. I'm alive. I have the ability to breathe. I have the ability to see. I have hands. I have legs. Let's go to the gym. That is owning your morning, because all of a sudden, none of the negativity is hitting you. None of the bad vibes are getting on to you, you're saying, this is my time to be alive. This is my time to work. And if you start your morning in that way and you win your morning and you own your morning, then the rest of the day becomes a lot easier. If you make your bed first off, guess what? Going to the gym's easy because you already got 2 big wins. If you've already gone to the gym, guess what? Making some calls is going to be easy. You hearing yourself on there?
Yeah, now I'm hearing myself.
All right, we need your guys' help. Type in the chat if you guys can hear us well. Bill says he can hear both of us just fine.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. It's showing here that it's now fixed. That's my podcast voice for those of you who are out there in podcast land.
Absolutely. So type in the chat and I'm just going to keep going. The best in the game don't wake up reacting. They start the day with a prayer, an intention, and a plan. Write it down. A prayer, an intention, and a plan. What happens when I first wake up, I get that first, I'm already breathing, but sense of breath. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm awake. Thank you, God, for giving me another day. That grounds me almost immediately. I still remember the days that I would wake up when I had school and when I had work. I would wake up and I would have so much anxiety for the day. And I would say, there's no way, it's already 7 a.m. And I would be so upset about the day. I would wish to go back to sleep and the whole day would be off because I started with at such a negative state. Now I make it such a priority to get up, open my eyes and say, God is good, thank you so much. And I start my morning with a prayer, which leads to an intention by saying, what is my intention for today? I want to be a servant. I want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
I want to focus on gratitude. I want to get these things done. I want to write down my most important daily action steps and get those done, and then make a plan around that. Because if you don't make a plan for your day in the morning, then external forces are going to take all your energies away throughout the day and move you in so many different directions.
If you don't take control of your day, it will quickly take control of you. Be intentional and ensure that you are being proactive, not reactive. During the most stressful time of my life, my mornings were spent being reactive. Oh crap, this person called. Oh crap, I gotta answer the phone. Oh crap, I gotta text. I would feel that way from the moment I woke up. I would have anxiety. I would be returning the phone, just doing, quote, what I had to do to make things work. And it wasn't until I said, wait, the same calls are going to come in, whether I get up at 5:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. The same calls are going to come in, and I'm either going to wake up earlier, whatever time that is for you. I'm going to wake up earlier and use that extra time to take control of my day, to have a prayer, to move, to drink water, to take control of my day and have a quiet mind in the beginning, because how we start the day can affect our entire day. If we ever start the day off wrong, we have to figure out how to reset that. Very important how we begin our day.
So book recommendation for you guys that you could take action on right now is read The Miracle Morning. This book gave me a framework called Savers, which is basically start your day in silence, then affirmations, then visualize, then exercise, then R, which is reading, and S is scribe. It gave me a whole list of habits. So if there's anything you walk away with on this show today, it is read The Miracle Morning. So that's number 1, guys. Own your morning. Number 2 is going to be, type in the chat, train your mind and body.
This is good.
So the reason we put these two together is because I used to look at it in such a singular format where I'm just training my body. But when you go to the gym and train your body and put yourself through physical exhaustion, it's actually a mental game happening just as much.
So true.
The gym is a mental and a physical gym. You are there pushing yourself to make sure you, number 1, get there, but also that you do enough where it's even a benefit for your body. You're stretching beforehand, and while you're stretching, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about the great day you're about to have? And then when you're on the treadmill, you're doing some runs, you're thinking about the future version of yourself that allows you to keep running. Yeah. And then when you're under the bar, whether you're doing squats or a bench press or whatever it is that you're currently doing, you're coaching yourself through the process, saying, Leo, you got this, you can do a couple more. And of course, as brothers, when we go to the gym together, it's me doing that for you, you doing that for me. Keep going, you got this.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that is something I so greatly underestimated for so long. And that was understanding my self-talk. Even at the gym, for example. Ah, gosh, this is hard. I don't know if I can do another one. I don't know if I can. All of these negative programs I was telling to myself from my mind, telling my body that it couldn't do this thing. Your body is such a powerful thing. Your mind is such a powerful thing. And either you're going to let them wander off and do their own thing. You're going to let your body, get weak by not being active. You're going to let your mind get weak by not forcing it to do the uncomfortable. Or we train. We say, no, mind, you're going to have fun, whether you like it or not. You're going to have fun doing this workout. Body, whether you like it or not, you're going to lift this weight again. And as you said, having support and accountability makes such a difference. Train your mind and body. It will change your whole life.
If you're weak physically, you're going to be weak as a leader. You're not going to be able to show up as the person that you want to be.
Wow.
And it shows because, I remember when I was scrawny, I thought I could never fight for myself. And when you walk into a room, that shows.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started working out consistently where I started to get bigger, I started to get stronger, I learned how to fight, I learned how to use my body in a way where I could walk in a room and know physically I could protect myself.
Yeah.
But also, same goes in a mental conversation. When you're talking to somebody, you want to be able to know that if the conversation goes south in a certain direction, not planning for it, but if it goes in a certain direction, you can protect yourself.
Definitely planning for it.
Because subconsciously that's going to show up. Same thing when it comes to a handshake, right? That's the same thing there. It's a physical thing. I remember being so scrawny, not having the confidence in myself, but also just not having the strength to purely give a strong handshake.
Yeah.
I didn't have the look, I didn't have the feel, I didn't have the strength, so it showed up in so many other areas in my life. So when you train physically, when you build yourself there, you also build mentally. And those two together create such a strong confidence, external confidence and internal confidence, that you really can't get anywhere else. It starts with training the mind and the body.
Next, those who are strong set clear and unshakable goals.
Type in the chat, unshakable goals.
As we become great, it becomes vital that our goals become unshakable, that our strategy, that our life plan, because many people have such a weak view of their vision that they're willing to change it with just a little resistance getting in the way. Mm-hmm. In other words, stuff is going to be hard. I'll have somebody come to me the other day and they're like, I feel like giving up. And I said, good, you're supposed to.
Yep.
That's what business does to you. That's what life does to us. And I share that not out of negativity. It's just out of the reality that not everything is easy. Business is not easy. Life is not easy. Being a great man, a great leader is not easy. Being a great person is not easy. And so being able to set a vision that's so clear and you believe in and you know it's what you're meant for causes you and your goals to become unshakable. It ain't going to be any little tiny thing that throws you off.
I remember I used to set complete, huge, lofty, giant goals that I had no idea how to hit.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I set the first goal to make my first $1 million.
Yeah.
What I hadn't realized was I had never made my first $10,000. So the whole time when I was saying these goals, I'm gonna make $1 million, I was gonna make $1 million, my mind wasn't strong enough to take it in yet. So my mind would reject it and say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna, you haven't even made $10,000 yet. So what I had to learn was, instead of looking at level 40, let me look at level 2 first. I could set the goal objectively to get $1 million, but know the plan to get there. Have broken it down so much where it's attainable in your mind.
Yeah.
Once things became attainable to me, I was able to create a real unshakable goal. That means you have such a plan where as long as you do the inputs, as long as you put in the repetition, you will get to that place. Now, a little bit of luck comes into goals every now and then, but I had to first set the goal. I'm going to make my first $10,000, and I'm going to do that by doing 6 sales calls a day.
Yeah.
Because 6 sales calls typically would lead to 1 sale, which was $1,000, right? And I had to break it down by knowing that even in those calls that I was doing, some of them would flop. A sale that I would do would flop.
Yeah.
So out of a 30-day span, that's what would lead me to the goal that I wanted to hit. But it only becomes unshakable when you have a pure plan of inputs. When you have a pure plan of this many sales calls will lead me to my number.
Yeah.
Or this many laps will lead me to the amount that I want to run. All of these things become unshakable.
Would you say that making it attainable is when the trajectory shifted for you?
I would say understand that you have to become the person that can make $1 million first, and then you have to make sure in your goal setting you're very careful, right? Be very careful in your goal setting, because if you set a goal to hit $1 million and you don't hit it, and the next year you shoot for $1 million and you don't hit it, your confidence is going to start to go down. So you might as well do two things. Number one, ask yourself, how do I become the person that would make $1 million?
That's a writer downer.
And then in your goal setting, you might as well say, my goal is to hit 10K in these next 3 months, or 10K this quarter, because you know you will hit it. And when you do hit it, guess what? You're going to have more confidence to hit 20K, then 30, then 50, then 250, 500 to $1 million. And it's a much better game plan to get it in 4 or 5 years than try to get it the first year, fail, the next year, fail, third year, fail, and then start shooting for 10.
Yeah.
Because that was my mistake.
Ah, that's good. That's a good explanation. When did that occur to you? Like, I'm making big goals that I can't reach in the current form of who I am back at that time.
Because I would shoot for $1 million and I'd make $3,000 that year.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't make sense. I would do all the self-development. I would read all the books. I would go through all the processes, and they would teach you to dream and dream and shoot for the stars and shoot for the stars and shoot for the moon and then go from star to star to the moon and those different types of things. But I realized I wasn't executing correctly because I didn't have a truly unshakable goal. I didn't have something that I knew that I could attain by hitting the right metrics. And that's when, a little bit after I was 18, my late 18, that's when I learned that, because I shot a goal to make 10K. And I actually made 30K that month.
That works.
That works.
I like that.
It changed my life forever, because I didn't limit myself, but I just hit a number that I knew I could hit to build my confidence, and then I increased my numbers.
So you talked about that shift of execution. That leads us to our fourth goal, that our fourth thing, that habit that separates the great from the average. That is mastering the deep work, just focused execution.
Yep.
What does that mean to you?
So many people like myself in the past are not able to sit down for an hour and actually execute on what they say they're going to execute on. Because it's so easy to grab your phone, go onto Instagram, and get lost in the sauce. And then somebody wants to hang out, and you go hang out with them. Somebody wants to go get a drink, you go get a drink with them. Or mowing the lawn sometimes is easier than doing the actual work.
Yeah.
And that happens for days and weeks and months and years and years and years. And people don't realize they never master the one thing that separates the great from the average, which is doing the work, but doing the deep work. Because you can get only so much done in maybe 15 minutes, and then people quit or go and do something easier, but they never actually allow those first 15 minutes to get them into flow, and then work for another hour of getting really good, solid work done. That sometimes people get a whole week's worth of stuff done in an hour, because an average executor only executes a little bit at a time, right? They'll set out to do a couple sales calls, and they'll do 2 in an hour because they got scared to do it, and they procrastinated, things got in the way, they cooked lunch, they blah, 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 blah. But if you just set a timer for 60 minutes and get the thing done and do nothing else but that thing, and you do that every day, and you'll get years worth of things done in weeks.
What was that change for you, or what's a change somebody listening could make to go from maybe being distracted or being that person who's talking about big goals to actually executing? Like, what does that mean?
If you commit, guys, to every day gaining clarity on what the next step is, every day. And do this in your morning, guys. This is why we put it in this sequential order, where number one is own your morning. If you can every day gain massive amounts of clarity on what the next step is, and then spend an hour of deep work on that next step, whatever that thing is, you take your phone, you set it to 60 minutes timer, and you put it in the other room. And you lock yourself in the room and you just do the work. You do nothing else but the work.
Well, what if the world falls apart during that 60 minutes that I don't have my phone on yet?
That's what I used to think so often is, oh no, what if this person texts me? What if this person that I haven't talked to in 3 years texts me and I need to be by my phone right then and there? If you don't get past that point, guys, you will stay stuck in the digital world and you will stay stuck in your own mind for so many years. Take it from me, I had it for two years straight of not actually doing something, not being able to put my phone away, because what if that person texts me?
Wow. That's such a freeing thing when you have that breakthrough and realize that it's just not that important to be available 24/7. It's really not. And the focus, the killer that becomes is detrimental. Which leads us to number 5. This is an important one, guys. If you're taking notes, write it down, type it in the chat. People of success, people that are great versus people that are average. The great people learn from history.
Type in the chat, learn from history. That is a direct action. Learn from past leaders. Learn from past figures. Learn from past successes, dead and alive.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, and who are some great leaders that you've learned from before?
Well, there's several, and I'll share this with you guys because this is one that I missed for so long. But analyze your history of the last 12 months. If what you're doing isn't working, then by golly, change it. If what you're doing worked at a level, then how can you do more of that thing? That's the first thing, was I was so blinded and I would just take massive action and I didn't analyze my history. So that's the first piece of action for you guys. Secondly, there's a lot of great people to learn from. Of course, in the Bible, there's Solomon. Love the wisdom of Solomon. I love the wisdom from Christ. Jesus taught incredible lessons. And more recent, there's versions of lessons that you can get from Andrew Carnegie. If you haven't read it, The Gospel of Wealth. There's another one. If you study the Rockefellers, of course, there's a lot of wisdom to be learned there. And then in more recent day, of course, I love reading, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a lot of Bible wisdom put into today's terms. So I love reading, and I know I just named multiple authors there in a short span of time, but I believe since I started reading, I've watched my finances change, my mindset change, everything around me has changed in a big way because I do focus on reading every day. But what would you define it as?
I would see it as a conversation with that author. Think about it for a moment, guys. This author had lived for most average probably 30 to 60 years of life, packed up into 20 years of wisdom, maybe 20 years of their actual working and studying life. And what they did was in their lifetime, they sat down for maybe a year or two and put all of those 20 years, all of those 20, 40, 60 years, and put it into a book for you to read. And it involves their thoughts, their teaching, their experiences, their failures, their successes, all in a book for you to be able to read in your own time.
Wow.
And what's so beautiful about that is that you can have a conversation with these authors. And you can literally nowadays have a conversation by taking that book and saying, hey, ChatGPT, let me talk to this author. Take on the role of this author and let me have a conversation with them. And now you can actually talk to that author because AI will take that person, let's just call it Dale Carnegie and Andrew Carnegie, both of them together, two incredible people, not related. Dale Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie. Take these two incredible giants and take their past 100 years of publications and break it down and become them. Let me talk to them.
It's a secret ChatGPT hack right there, Leo.
And now you can do that with AI, but let's just not put that there for now. Let's just take the basics of read the book and implement it. But don't just read it for the sake of reading. Read for the sake of implementing and using it in your life, so then it becomes yours. That's what we tell all of our students. When we teach them things, we say utilize it and make it yours. Teach it to your team. Because if you tried something from our experience and it worked in your experience, it becomes your wisdom.
Good advice.
So read every day for just 10 minutes in the very beginning. Read every day for 10 minutes, learning from history, learning from people of the past, learn from Jesus, and go to ChatGPT and start consulting people and giants from the past, because it will give you such a great insight on things that you're missing.
Are we ready for number 6? The things that separate the great from the average.
Let's do it.
They control their inputs. Garbage in, garbage out. What we take in, what we listen, our eye gate, our ear gate, what we listen, what we watch, will absolutely influence how we think.
Type in the chat, garbage in, garbage out.
Also means good stuff in, good stuff out.
Absolutely.
So how do you guard your eyes, your ears, what you see, read, hear? What's that process like for you?
I would say number 1 is protect your energy at all times.
That's good.
Know that we are humans that can be influenced, and that should be trained. First of all, you should always train your influence, your influenceability, by questioning everything. Right? You should always question everything. So when you're on social media, know that if you are in a vulnerable state, like most people are, and it sucks to have a lot of these kids that are on social media in a vulnerable state, taking in everything.
Yeah.
Especially when their subconscious is still training and they're taking things in, they're getting news from social media, or they're looking at the news, reading those headlines, and being able to be gypped very fast. However, if you can control those inputs by saying, what am I taking in right now? If I'm reading the news or if I'm going on social media, mostly of what sells is negativity. So most of what I'm going to get is negativity.
Yeah.
So I can bet statistically, if I spend an hour on social media, 60 minutes, 55 of those minutes are going to be negative.
Wow.
So
that's crazy to think about when you put it in those terms.
So why would I go on there and consume for an hour? I might be able to then do what number 6 says, which is truly control your inputs by training my algorithm to only show me positive things, which it takes a little bit of time to do that because social media is such a big machine. Or I can make sure that if I am going to use social media, know what it could do to my mind, know the negativity that it can put onto my mind, and just spend 5 minutes on it and then get off and get back to work.
That is a massive discipline, though, to be able to do that. And all of us, regardless of what our choice of poison is when it comes to what we listen to and watch, whether it be TV, whether it be social media, whether it be mindless scrolling, whether it be the music. There's some music out there that puts out ideas that is not at all in alignment with where I'm trying to head in life. Yes. You start to listen to those things that begin to affect you. So very important to watch that.
Something I've done recently, and I know you've noticed, is I stopped listening to rap music.
Yeah. I
stopped listening to R&B. And I used to love that music, guys. And it would help me a lot in the gym, right? Like I would work out so hard when I would listen to hip hop. But I'm someone who listens to lyrics and I can see it. And even if I don't listen, your subconscious is always listening. And when they're talking about certain things about, in modern culture, modern hip hop, about women, negative views of women, drugs, violence, when they're talking about family in a certain way and self-image in a certain way, it gets into your subconscious, and I would realize myself getting a little bit angry.
Yeah.
It would be great in the gym, but it's not great for business. It's not great for relationships. It's not great for partnerships. It's not good for sales. It's not good for life.
Yeah.
So I stopped listening to that, and it's a sacrifice that you make.
Yeah.
I remember making fun of people who would stop listening to it because I would call them certain names because that's what I used to listen to, and until I realized how much toxicity and influence I would take in through music, through media, through toxic people, and I had to mature myself.
So for somebody listening to this, being like, "But I like the music. I don't listen to the words," or believing I'm tough, it won't affect me. Like,
Yeah.
what was that shift for you, and what do you say to that?
I always look at now outside of me, my future family, my business, the people that I influence around me positively. If I do choose to listen to this music, I might come off in a different way now. I might show up in a different attitude. And if it negatively influences the people around me, it's not worth it, right? It's not worth the loss of friendship. It's not worth the loss of revenue. It's not worth the loss of love. It's not worth any of that.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about those things, go ahead, keep listening, keep doing those things. But please see the negative effects that happen with that music, with those toxic people, by putting them side to side. Hey, when I listen to this, test it out for 6 months. That takes a lot of discipline.
Be aware.
Be aware of what happens when you're listening to that music or when you're on social media for too long. Only reason we're aware is because we test ourselves every day.
Yeah.
Like why am I being so negative? Why am I being so toxic? Why is my mind going in a spiral? We journal and we look back to last Tuesday and it's because we started listening to rap music again.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let me detox that out for a month. And for me, I detox it out now, quote unquote, forever. I'll listen to something every now and then. In the gym, if I'm hitting a heavy set, but I'm using it for that moment and then going right back to the music that I do want to listen to that positively influences me.
That's a powerful one, guys. That was a game changer for me, and to be able to focus on that. And I think it just comes down to awareness, because so many people live in very dark places mentally, but they never take the time to go realize where it's actually starting from. That's a powerful one. Let's get to number 8.
Number 8.
What makes the great?
Is this 7? No, this is 7.
Number 7.
Number 7 is do hard things daily. Type it in the chat, write it down. Do hard things daily. We need to be able to get ourselves out of our comfort zone, because any time, any space, any energy outside of the comfort zone is where growth happens, is where the training grounds for greatness happens. And discipline happens through doing hard things consistently, because we don't want to do hard things. Our body does not want to do hard things. Our brain and body want to protect ourselves from doing hard things. So when you do that, it forces you to grow. It forces you to train for greatness. What is greatness? Greatness is being able to do the things that no one else wants to do. Right? That's why we'll see people who did hard things and we'll call them great.
Yeah.
It's because they chose not to be in comfort. Because you can't be great in comfort.
We respect the people, and I think it's very normal for human civilization, who have done hard things. Whether it's the mom who protected her kids, whether it's the man who built his body up and his mind up in a strong way. It's the people who did the uncomfortable, who made hard decisions, who under pressure acted heroically. When we still in one culture, what do we always love? We love the hero story, right?
Yep.
We love heroes because they did something great. They did something extraordinary. And to be the person who does something extraordinary takes extraordinary effort, which means extraordinary discomfort.
Yeah. Have your own boxer. I call it a boxer story, right? We always have those movies like Rocky or Creed where there's a training session where he's doing his big fight, right? Rocky's training for his big fight. Creed's training for his big fight. And he's only got 3 months or 2 months to prepare. And what happens is in those 2 months of training, it's crunched down to like a 1 minute, 30-second B-roll. Right, and that B-roll is typically some good music, dun, 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 and they're training every day and they're running and Rocky's running up the stairs. All these different things are happening and you're sweating, you're bleeding, you're doing the hard things. But then what happens after those 2 months or 1.5 minutes of B-roll of training is they get stronger, they get mentally stronger, they look at themselves different in the mirror, they have more respect, they typically, get the girl, all these different things start to happen, and then they win that fight. And we respect that, and we love those stories. And I always tell students, create your own boxer story.
Yeah. Because
3 months of discipline is hard, but if you just look at what it's going to look like in a 1.5 minute B-roll, that's going to be fun. Because 3 months later, you look back and you're a different man, you're a different woman, you're a different beast of a person that you were before because you did hard things every day. And one more analogy I want to make is maybe in your regular life, you'll do one hard thing every month. And in 12 months, 12 hard things got done. So you got maybe a little bit stronger, right? However, the way that you can speed run through life, speed run through growth, is doing hard things every day. So now, instead of 12 things a year, you do 30 hard things a month.
Twice as much growth in a month as you would have had in a year.
And that's why people have those type of huge growth moments, is by doing the hard things, because the hard things is what makes you grow.
Now we're ready for number 8 that I was about to jump in a moment ago.
Yes.
That is, people that are great keep their word. They keep their word to themselves and to others. They build trust with themselves and with others. You can make money, I say, you can make money or excuses, but you can't make both.
Yep.
And that's the way we are in life and business. And that's the way that great people operate, is deliver value always. There's no place ever to make excuses. I always say the business doesn't care about our feelings. The business doesn't have an emotion and say, oh, you wasn't feeling well this month. I'm going to make sure you got as much revenue as you would have had if you felt good. There's no feelings inside the business. The business is what it is and does what it does and runs however we manage it. It's a symptom of our management and leadership skills. And so for us to be the type of leader who can have impact and utilize the power we've all been given to do good things, it means we keep our commitments.
Type in the chat, my word is bond. If you want confidence, you have to trust yourself. The only way that you and I are going to trust each other is by keeping our commitments with each other. If I tell you I'm going to pick you up at 8 and I don't, you're not going to trust me anymore. And if 2, 3, 4 days go by of me saying I'm going to pick you up at 8 and I never do, are you ever going to trust my next words that I say? Absolutely not. So what we have to do is start building those relationships, start building that trust with ourselves first by saying, I'm going to wake up at X time. I'm going to wake up at 6:30. And when 6:30 rolls around, when it's the hardest time to actually get up, you get up and you say, I told myself I would.
Yeah.
And if you don't just allow that day to go by. It's 7:22. You told yourself you'd wake up at 6:30. You say, I should have just woke up. And then you just go throughout your day. Look at the impact of that. You just lied to yourself straight up to your face and lost a little bit of respect for yourself. People do that for years and years and years and years. So why do you think when you say, I'm going to make 10K this year, I'm going to change my life this year, why do you think you would believe in yourself if you can't even wake up at 6:30 like you told yourself you would?
Yeah, that's big.
And I'm saying this with so much passion because I'm really talking to my younger self here. Because I lied to myself every single day, guys. I lied to myself every day and I lost so much respect for myself. And it wasn't until I met someone that actually was respectable. And I asked how? How do you do that? How are you so confident? And he just said, you do what you say you're going to do every single time. And if you don't, there's not a reason for trying. You do what you say you're going to do. My word is bond.
That's a big one. There's no trying, there's only doing. And I think that is the game changer when I realized that. And it sounded harsh the first time I said it out loud, except I realized that when we try, results doesn't pop up and work for try. Results come from doing. Results come from us becoming the people we were meant to be and serving at the level we were meant to serve. Number 9, next to last one, the 10 habits that separate the great from the average. Number 9 is the great stay humble and the great stay hungry.
Type it in the chat.
Humble and hungry.
Humble and hungry. I say humble. Andrew says humble. Help us determine which one it is. I think it's humble.
So the Midwest, everyone says humble. And out here, it's
California, we'd call that stupid.
Says humble. So I'm in California, so I guess I've got to say humble. Humble this time.
I'll say humble. I'll say humble.
Fair. All right.
They say humble and hungry. So it's a good mix, right? Having both of those because
How do they vote on was it humble or humble? It's spelled the same.
I didn't think about that.
That'd be the H off. Humble.
So the great never think that they have arrived. They always stay students. You can learn from the people on the street. You can learn from the people at the highest level. You can learn from the people who are dead. You can learn from the people who have barely been born 18 years.
Yeah.
You can learn from everybody. And that allows you to always grow. And really, that's what I think humility is being able to learn from everybody. Because if you know foundationally that, hey, I can learn from you, you're not going to put yourself above.
Yeah.
You're going to match them where they are and tell your story and learn from their story. That's what I have found what true humility is. And then the hunger is, I want to learn because I know learning is going to move me forward. And so I have to continue to seek out information, seek out wisdom, and implement it. And what that's going to do, it's going to help me grow and grow and grow and get access to more people who have more answers.
Yeah.
That is hunger and humility.
But as we talked earlier today about having unshakable goals, I think that comes back to what's your vision? Where are you headed? Why are you doing this? Why are you building this? That's what I remember being so frustrated about years ago during the time we met and our brotherhood was born. And what happened, Leo, was you caused me to realize, like, wait a second, if you're not building a life that you enjoy every day, if you're not building a business that feeds your mission, then like, why are you doing this? And it resonated so strongly because I had got into the business thinking, gosh, I'm going to use this business to help my parents. I'm going to use this business to give more to God. I'm going to use this business. And then it done the exact opposite for me. It sucked the life out of me. I was tired. I was wore out. And I'm now serving this business when I wanted to have a business that served my purpose.
Absolutely. I think the chat is saying that it's humble.
Oh, let's look at the chat. Are they saying it's with or without the H?
They're saying it's with the H.
With, okay.
But I'll start saying humble.
Humble.
All right, guys, let's move over to 10.
And I'm not needing to be right. I just need to tell you this. Notice that the mastermind this week, Randy was teaching, and he said that we must stay humble. I almost called it out. It was like somebody else says humble, but I didn't. So here we are. I'm outvoted. I'll go with humble and hungry, guys.
There you go. So number 10 is the great, the ones who hold greatness. And by the way, guys, greatness is a skill. Greatness is a practice. Greatness is an everyday thing that you're continually building. But number 10 is they keep God at the center. They allow God to be a partner in life and a business partner in business.
Yeah.
They allow them to be at the center of their relationship. They consult God before they do big things. And of course, when you're making decisions, you've already consulted God in a lot of similar decisions. So now you're able to make faster decisions and you're able to discern what is right, what is from God, what is from the devil. True success is built on a foundation of faith. And this is why we have a speed of trusting each other, because we know the foundation of faith is very similar. So now when we have other people around us, we know we also want them to have a similar foundation of faith. But now people who understand us, they know the decisions that we'll make. Yeah. They trust us as men and leaders. And we, just like Jesus, say challenge us, continually ask us the questions, try to find things out.
Yeah.
And I say that because my intuition feels good when other great leaders say that. And I do ask them the questions.
Yeah.
And I always ask, hey, is this right? Do I feel good about this? Does God feel good about this?
The only time that would be offensive would be if we was ego driven. Because then it's like, oh, what, you don't trust, right? And so I've seen that in people where they don't like to be asked questions because it's ego driven. So you're questioning their lordship of their life. I don't know. But then as we are really keeping God, as you said, at the center. We know the foundation we're built on is it's confidence. It's not about me anyway. It's not ego. And so there's nothing to hide. And that comes, of course, to being authentic as well. But how was that born for you? And somebody watching this who's what does that mean? Keep God at the center. Maybe somebody's seen some of the religious fanatics on one side, or somebody else has seen, people who didn't have a strong faith in God. How do you marry that together?
I think understand that God didn't create religion. Humans created religion, but God created this earth. And it's the belief in that, belief that God created this as our kingdom, and our job here is to have, quote unquote, dominion over the earth, which just simply means to be the best people we can be and follow the word. Don't just read the word to read the word to be able to act upon the word. And when you really read the Bible, which now I'm finally actually reading the Bible, I'm starting to see, okay, this makes a lot of sense. There's a lot that goes into that just allows us to be a better person. A lot of what we do and we're told already as kids, treat others as you want to be treated, that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are living out Christian principles without knowing that it's Christian principles.
So true.
And what's beautiful is that it's given such a roadmap for life that those who I know actually read the word to become better men and women always become better men and women.
Wow, that's good perspective.
And there's a lot of people like the religious weirdos, I say it with such passion, the absolute religious weirdos who read the word to be able to recite the word and make them fall into their own will.
To control others' lives.
Control others' lives. Yeah. But that's why God allows us to question everything.
That's powerful.
Hey, tell me how we walked on water. Tell me how did this happen? And I would say, BS, show me how. Yeah. And when I started to actually learn it and ask the questions, that's what allowed me to be a God-centered man, which allowed me to follow the principles. And as I've been following the principles, my life has gotten so much better. Yeah. And I've made proper decisions. And my life has gone in the way that I've wanted it to go, right? But sometimes it doesn't go that way. And I say, you know what? It's going to be okay. I'm going to figure it out. God's going to help me.
Yeah.
And I have the faith. And 3 months later, I'm like, that makes so much sense.
There's principle-based decisions. The outcome may not always be what we desired, but we always can trust the process.
Sure.
Because it wasn't to feed our ego, because that's what failure is. We went under to feed our ego, and it didn't feed our ego properly, so It failed. We're doing it for the kingdom and for God and for good. Now, I trust the ultimate outcome will be for good.
100%.
Wow, what a shift. I love that.
It's a good way to test when you ask yourself, am I doing this to make Leo look better? Or am I doing this to truly serve? And what truly serving to me means is helping people become the best version of themselves and get closer to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And if you guys feel on the end that, hey, I feel like I'm praising these guys more than I'm praising the world, I'm praising God.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been a new frame for me. When we go on this show and ask ourselves, are we praising God? Are we saying that, hey, wow, we're so cool, we've had all these experiences and the guys learned from Leo and Andrew? Or is it that, yes, we've been through so much experiences by the grace of God?
Yeah.
And as we continue to learn, we continue to go back to Scripture and say, wow, it's right there for us. And the more we follow that word and the more we utilize it in our day-to-day, the greater we become for Him.
And that's powerful perspective, because I think it takes so much of the anxiety and mental pressure off that we go through as business owners. Because, I remember feeling that pressure because in the beginning, I'll just be super transparent that as my business went sideways in the beginning and I was trying to do good things, I almost doubted God. Well, God, I thought I was doing this for you. Why are you letting me down? Except I was doing it with the foundation of wanting to do good and the need for my ego to be praised too.
So then it always has to go your way.
It always has to go my way.
But then if it doesn't go our way, when we have true faith, we sit back and say, God's putting us through this trial so that we can get stronger, so that we can serve more people. So you do have to put your hand up and say, I surrender to that.
Which surrender, guys, that is a massive writer downer I want to wind up with today. Surrender is the key that relieves the anxiety and helps with the stress, because sometimes business can be overwhelming, life can be overwhelming, And it doesn't necessarily get easier. We just know that, as you said, we got the ultimate partner in our business.
100%. So guys, these are the 10 habits that separate the greats from the average. We want every single one of you guys to go after greatness, be great, because our God is great and he created us here in his image. And us as human beings who have free will, sometimes we choose the very, very average route, and we don't want to do that. We want to choose the great route. We want to utilize these habits every day, because then we get to serve at the highest level. We get to live such a beautiful life of so many blessings every day, and we start to realize all the blessings that are around us.
Yeah.
So take these 10, guys. This is one to watch back again and again and again until you've implemented all 10. But honestly, once you implement 3 of these, the other 7 make so much sense, and it's so much easier to be great.
Guys, thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye, guys.